What was it like, growing up with him?
When I was a kid, I idolized him. Hell, I wanted to be him.
I always wanted, expected, to grow up and become him. And the hero bit, I'm still all in. That's not me. I don't want to be the Batman anymore.
Holy daddy issues. Hey guys, it's Alexis here, and today I'm going to be speaking about the topic of finding your identity and forging your own path and what that means. But more specifically, I'm going to be talking about this in the context of DC's Pride and Joy, Dick Grayson. So, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Dick Grayson, the first Robin, the oldest son of Batman, Nightwing, the hero of Bloodhaven, and Batman's greatest success. Now, we all know him as these things, but of course, as we all know, it didn't always start that way. He had pretty sad origin, similarly to Bruce. They both lost their parents at a very young age and both had to watch them die right in front of them. And it took a great ordeal and took a toll on both of them. And Bruce, knowing how that made him feel as a child and not getting that closure, he didn't want that for Dick. So he took him in, helped him catch the men who killed his parents, and turned him into the first Robin. Now, of course, we all know that Dick loves Bruce as a father, and Bruce loves him very much. He loves all of his kids, and I'm sure that having Bruce around definitely made him feel a bit better than, and I'm sure he was better off, you know, with being with Bruce than probably doing anything else. But there still is a darkness to having Bruce as a mentor and a father figure. The fact of the matter is, the man is emotionally unavailable, as multiple characters, including his own children, have stated. The man is emotionally unavailable, so still growing up with him, there is still that dark shadow that loomed over his childhood, despite him loving him and despite Bruce being a loving father. Not to mention that being the oldest son means that he does have the responsibility, that pressure to take the Batman mantle when Batman retires. And so, of course, his whole life, he's wanted to, when he was younger, be like Batman. There is actually this comic panel where Bruce asks him, "Are you really that afraid of me?" And he says, yeah, in a God-fearing kind of way. So he's always looked up to him, always wanted to be like him, until he started getting older and really understanding what that means and what that shadow of being raised by the Batman truly is. Those are big shoes to fill. Being the Batman, those are really big shoes to fill. And him growing up with Bruce and seeing how he is, it's a lot. And you would think that because of his parents dying and then having Bruce as a father, a lot of people would crumble. A lot of people would crumble under that pressure. A lot of people would succumb to that same darkness that maybe Bruce has. But Nightwing is different. Nightwing chose the light. One of my favorite quotes about Nightwing is, "It's Nightwing whose soul shines the brightest. Raised in the shadow of the bat, he overcame the death of his parents and the darkness of his mentor. Brave, unselfish, utterly kind. Who wouldn't fall in love with that strength and that smile?" I think that really just sums up everything I'm trying to say in this video. Despite all the things that have happened to him in his life, he still chose to go out on his own and not become Batman. He realized that as he got older that he did not want that. He didn't want to be the Batman. He wanted to be his own person, and he chose the light. He leads with love. He has this quirky personality. He's not that dark, brooding soul like Bruce is. No shade to Bruce, but that's not who Nightwing is, and that's a good thing. That's not who Nightwing needs to be. He doesn't need to be the Batman, and I think as he got older, he knows that, and that's why he goes off to Bloodhaven to escape that shadow and become his own person. That's why he forges the Teen Titans, to kind of leave that behind. Even during the times where Bruce was missing or dead and he had to take over as Batman, he was not the same kind of Batman as Bruce. He was not the same at all. When he had Damian as his Robin, he was not the same person as Bruce, and he was the same Batman as Bruce, which is probably why I think Damian probably likes him the most out of his family members, because Dick, again, led with love and like showed that event, and he worked with him, and he kind of got Damian to trust him more and more, and he didn't treat him the same way that Bruce would, because I think Nightwing is just a little bit emotionally available than Bruce is, which is why they make such a good dynamic. Duo. And I think even Damian agrees. He missed having Nightwing around. Like, and I just think that is so beautiful. Even when he does have to take on this mantle that he didn't want to take on, he still did it his own way. He was still his own Batman. And this is something that Bruce can agree with. In Young Justice, he was getting grilled by the rest of the Justice League, specifically Wonder Woman, and her saying that, you know, kind of getting on him for you having a 9-year-old out there, you know, fighting crime. Batman explained that the reason why he did it is because he needed to help him bring the men that killed his parents to justice. And Wonder Woman responds, so he could turn out like you? And Batman says, so that he wouldn't. Because he knew that the reason why Batman is the way he is, not only because his parents died right in front of him, but because he never got that closure of finding out who killed his parents and actually having them serve time and pay for what they did. He knew that that's something that Dick would need, and once he got that, he could go on that journey to heal. Batman does not want his children to be like him. He would rather them not be anything like him. I think that's why he's so proud of Nightwing, because he's not like him. There are some times where he exudes traits of him, such as, you know, if you watch Young Justice, the keeping secrets, the focusing so much on the mission, and not letting people in on certain things. Like, he definitely has those traits and those tendencies, but at the end of the day, he still knows how to overcome that, and he still is his own person. And I think that's why Batman is so proud of him, because he turned out nothing like him. Now, Dick is not the only one feeling this pressure. Understand that Dick was the first Robin. He set the standard for what it means to be Robin. He was the perfect partner, you know? So the people that came afterwards, they had very big shoes to fill, and they definitely feel that pressure. Jason felt it. Tim felt it. I'm not too sure if Stephanie felt it. Damian definitely feels it. They all feel that pressure. And Damian feels the pressure of being the son of Batman and having to take on, and he loves reminding people that he's the heir to the Batman mantle, and him like constantly throwing that out there. But I think he does that because he has some sort of inferiority complex in a way. But that, I could make a whole different video on Damian. That is a whole different can of worms to get into. The psychology of that little gremlin is a lot. So that could be a whole other video. But the fact of the matter is, when you have big shoes to fill, when you have people that come before you, especially when it comes to older siblings, you're going to feel that pressure to be like them. Do I look like him? Sorry. But even so, they made Robin their own. They're still their own people, and they're still very distinct. Them as Robins are pretty distinct. They have their own distinct characteristics. They have their own ways of doing things. They even use different weapons. They literally even use different weapons. So the fact of the matter is, even when you have this pressure over you, even though you have this shadow over you, you can still forge your own path and do your own thing. You do not have to do what you think is expected of you, or even what the expectation that people are putting onto you. There is a way to rise above the hurt, and that is, honestly, I do want to do a video on that and the different characters that have like shown that, or the characters that have not shown that. But not everyone can do that. Not everyone can rise above the hurt and rise above their trauma. Some people, it crumbles them, it engulfs them, and it consumes them. But for Dick, that's not what happened. He became the great man that he is, despite his circumstances. And I think that that's beautiful. I think his story is one of the most perfect stories in regards to what it means to find your identity and get out of the shadow of someone else. Because we all know Nightwing as Nightwing. You know, we all know Dick Grayson as Dick Grayson. Like, he is his own person. He's not the Batman. He's not anyone else. He's his own person. Everyone loves Nightwing for who he is. Everyone says that that's Batman's greatest success. And he's just a beautiful person inside and out. And I think that if you guys are struggling with, you know, finding your own identity and getting out of the shadow of someone else, or even just like having the weight of your trauma or the weight of your past or any pain that's like holding you down, just know that there is a light, and you can go towards the light. You don't have to be a product of whatever life has thrown at you, you know? Be like Dick. Choose the light. I know it's not easy, of course, but with the help of having a good circle around you, and in general, just, I don't know, living, it'll get better. Well, that's all I have for today. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, and in the comments, let me know if you want any more DC videos, because I've kind of been on my DC grind right now. Mostly, I stick more in the Bat family realm, but let me know if this is something that you like. So yeah, take care of yourselves. Bye.